It's time for Downtown Hockeytown, presented by Labatt Blue Light. Today's guest is Ansar Kahn, sports writer for MLive. Ansar, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Glad to be with you, Daniella. Art.
I'm glad to
Hey,
have you, and
Ansar.
I'm glad that our Red Wings are 2-2 right now, Ansar. After 4 games, the Red Wings are 500. And in Tuesday's game, we saw Coach Blashill really shuffle up the lines from what we've been seeing in the past few games. What did you think about that move, and do you think it's ultimately what sparked the Red Wings offense?
Yeah, it was surprising. Not so much that he would change lines. Usually, when you change lines, you switch one player for another on a line. But these were kind of changes up and down the lines. Each of the four lines were different. And one of the things that struck me was, I mean, this was clearly done, I think, just to spark Nantha in particular, and also that top line. The fact that he had all three of those guys on three separate lines, I think, was a message. Usually, when he's broken that line up, he's kept two of them together. He's kept Larkin with either Mantha or with Bertuzzi, and had the third guy on a different line to spread things out. But this time he had all three of them on different lines. I don't know if he's actually done that before, but I think that clearly was a message that they need to be better, and in particular, Mantha needs to move his feet and just be more engaged, and certainly I think that helped in yesterday's game.
Yeah, I agree with you, Ansar. Usually, when he does break the lines up, he being Jeff Blashill, usually he keeps Mantha and Larkin together. It's usually Bertuzzi who's that energy guy who moves down because he can play in all situations. But I couldn't agree more. It's a little bit, I don't know if it's troubling, but a little bit puzzling that Mantha has not been able to get charged up yet. But hopefully that'll change in Chicago. One guy who is charged up, though, Ansar, and I don't know what Steve Yzerman exactly told him on this phone call, but it must have been absolutely great because Bobby Ryan has been fired up to be a Red Wing, and already he's tied for the NHL lead in goals with 5. This signing, at least early on, could not have worked out better for Detroit.
For sure. And, one of the things that really has impressed me about Ryan is just his attitude. He's a guy that from that first time that we spoke to him after they signed him, just his enthusiasm and just embracing being here, you can tell how genuine it is just from the fact that, he had other options. He could have signed elsewhere. He could have gone to a contending team, but he chose the Wings, and it was kind of unusual, surprised a lot of people, the timing of it. The fact that he signed really quickly. He was one of the first free agents shortly after noon that signed. Generally, a player like that, would wait a little bit, explore more options, see what's out there. But he was almost right away. He had his mindset on coming to the Red Wings, and he signed. It's certainly a credit to Steve Yzerman, his recruiting ability. I mean, a team that finished where the Red Wings finished last year, and being right in the middle of a rebuild, ordinarily wouldn't be able to get a player like that. But certainly because of Yzerman and whatever he said to him, however he convinced him, that did the trick. And the other thing that strikes me about Ryan, outside of the way he's played in these 3 games, is he's really you could see his leadership ability and how it rubs off on the team. If you're watching the jumbotron as the players are stepping onto the ice before each period, Ryan is the guy that's standing there in the walkway, greeting each player, giving glove taps to each guy as they come onto the ice. And that really says something about just his leadership and the kind of player that he is.
Ansar, we're seeing the moves that Steve made make an immediate impact on this Red Wings team, both offensively and defensively. We talk about the offense that Bobby Ryan has generated already, but on the blue line, you have Troy Stetcher, John Merrill, and Mark Stahl, who have been very steady for the Red Wings thus far. What have you thought about their performance?
Yeah, for sure. And I think what you said is the key there. Steady. The fact that Blashill mixed up his lines last night, but he's kept in 4 games. He's pretty much kept those 3 D pair intact. Those pairings, and it shows that how pleased he is with that group. It's really kind of night and day from last year. They had so many injuries and a few guys that just weren't effective. And these guys are certainly have been steady. Nothing spectacular. They're not flashy guys, but they get the job done. They control the puck. They're efficient. They move the puck quickly. They're not going to provide much offense, but that's not what they're here for. They're here to defend and move the puck to the forwards, and that's what they've been doing these first 4 games. And I also think one of the big differences in this year's team and last year's team is there's just more NHL players on this year's team. You look at the guys that they signed; these are guys that could be playing for other teams, for several other teams. Whereas last year they had a lot of players who were nearing the end there, who could really, if they weren't on the Red Wings, they probably couldn't play for really any other teams. And we've seen that in the off season, and that a lot of them who the Red Wings parted ways with are no longer in the NHL.
Ansar, Danny DeKeyser only played 8 games last year. He's coming off that back surgery. Yesterday was a back-to-back game against the Columbus Blue Jackets, and I think we were all a little worried. I was looking at the pregame skate to see if he was even going to be out there. His ice time has been going down. Lo and behold, he played 17-18 in the 3-2 overtime victory. A good sign that DeKeyser looks like, and we have to keep our fingers crossed, but it looks like that he may be able to give this team some good quality minutes.
Yeah, for sure. It'd been, I think, 14, 15 months since he played a game, coming off major back surgery. You knew it was going to take time. He's a guy that's averaged about 22 minutes during his career, but it's going to take a while for him to get back to that level of minutes played. And I think he played like 13 minutes or something like that his first game. And it's going to be a gradual process, but it certainly is a good sign to see him, see those minutes increase little by little. Because this guy that they missed last year, he's limited to 8 games. He's almost like getting a new player, in addition to the 3 guys that they acquired. DeKeyser is essentially like the 4th new guy there, and
right.
with his mobility and his puck moving ability, I think the more games he plays here, he's only going to get more comfortable and back soon, eventually to the level that he's accustomed to being at.
Filip Hronek is the other opposite end of the schedule, or spectrum, I should say. Blashill keeps talking about trying to limit his minutes, and in the 3-2 victory, he went 24-23. He's hovering right around that 24-25 mark. I mean, I know he plays in all situations. Do you think they still want to get that down, or is DeKeyser's ice time increases, maybe Hronek's goes down?
Yeah, I think that'll be the case. I think you'll see, like you said, DeKeyser's minutes creeping up a little bit, and then that'll enable them to reduce Hronek's minutes slightly. It's just so tempting, I'm sure, for Blashill to just have him out there whenever possible. It was, I think, 2 games ago that he started using him on both power play units, essentially for the entire power play, which certainly can't do if they have like 5 or 6 power plays a night, but there haven't been, one thing I noticed here the first few games, there haven't been many penalties. There hasn't been many power plays. I think they've only had 7 in the 4 games. So when you're able to have them out there for longer on the power play when there's that few. But as we get going here and more penalties get called and there's more power plays, they're certainly not going to be able to keep them on the ice for that long.
Ansar, another key to the Red Wings' success so far has been the goaltending. Both Thomas Greiss and Jonathan Bernier have been awesome. Jonathan Bernier is posting a .927 save percentage in his 2 starts, and Thomas Greiss has a .930 in his 2 starts. Another addition by Steve Yzerman and Thomas Greiss. What have your thoughts been about the goalie duo that we've been seeing?
Yeah, and I think Greiss was really maybe even more so than Ryan, I think the key acquisition. I think the Red Wings were fortunate to be able to get him in a year where there was a lot of goalies available in free agency, and he was one of the last really out of the key group of goalies to sign as others went to other teams, and Greiss was still available, and they were fortunate to get him. That was a solid pickup, and the goaltending, these 2 guys, Greiss and Bernier, they're going to give the Red Wings a chance to win most nights, and that's all you can ask for from your goalie. Jimmy Howard, been so good for so long, he just really struggled last season. He won 2 games, I think, in October, and then none the rest of the way, and it was just very difficult season for him, and there were just a lot of nights where they just didn't have a chance to win. But with Greiss and Bernier playing the way that they can and the way that they have so far through 4 games, that really ensures the Red Wings of being in games, late into the 3rd period, giving them a chance to win. That's something that we didn't see a lot of last year, where they were just a lot of nights they were just out of it in the 3rd period.
Ansar, real quickly, I wanted to ask you one more quick question. I mean, the Red Wings are still, they can make some moves. Their cap number is really, really good. Do you see Steve doing anything, or will he let this play out a little bit?
They've got cap space. They can take on salary. Rosters crowded a little bit here. I know Steve has indicated in the Zoom calls that we've had with him heading into the season that he would be open to acquiring another player. But I think for right now, they're going to wait and see how this goes. A lot will depend on injuries and what they need. If they can somehow manage to stay in this thing, to stay competitive and to stay within, striking distance, I guess, of a playoff spot, I could see him maybe looking to acquire. But if not, then I don't think so. Certainly, if they're out of it, then he'll try to trade as many guys as he can that they don't plan to re-sign, and just accumulate more draft picks, because they are in a good position at the trade deadline. They've got extra draft picks, I believe 3 second-rounders next year already. And if he can accumulate, I'm sure he's looking to accumulate some more if possible, if they're out of the playoff chase.
Well, Ansar, we'll have to see how this season unfolds. So far, so good for the Red Wings as they head out on their first road trip. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. It was a pleasure to talk to you, and we'll definitely be talking to you soon.
Okay, thanks, Daniella. Talk to you later.
Yep.
A big thank you to Labatt Blue Light for presenting Downtown Hockeytown. Labatt Blue Light, refreshing Canadian Pilsner. Visit your local retailer when safe to pick up some Labatt Blue Light.